Good evening, everyone. This is Mitchell. Welcome to part two of my stories. Yesterday, I talked about living in the boulevard projects, housing projects of East New York and Brooklyn, and I thought today to give you just a little bit of taste of my childhood surroundings. I lived in the sixth floor, the six-story building, and I was in apartment 4C. And when my mom said I can go down to play, I'd run down the stairs and out the front door, and I met an atmosphere that was teeming with life. In those days, people were outside in front of their houses, and something so different. Immediately, I had to walk down a few steps, and children were always playing by those steps. They would have a rubber ball, and they'd throw it against the steps, and if they hit the crack, the ball would go far. If they hit the point of the steps, it would go even further, and they played games of baseball. We called it off the stoop, and they would come down, and the children would make way, and then they would start playing again. And I get out, and again it was life was everywhere. There were benches. There were four buildings in my immediate vicinity, and all of them had benches in front, and all these benches were filled with people, mothers in their baby carriages, and their husbands, and children, and people running around, and everything was outside up front. There was always someone watching you, looking after the children. It was a very, very special atmosphere. So if I go right across from me was 363 Wortman Avenue, where my best friend Howie Rosenberg lived. And if I made a right turn, I would pass 357 and 361 Wortman Avenue. And there I would usually hear a mother calling out to her daughter. Obviously, this little girl always ran off, and the mother didn't know where she was. I always hear her going, "Hollis, Hollisoo," and her voice rang through the neighborhood. You could hear it about 500 yards away. You could hear that the mother calling for her baby. If I come to the street, Wortman Avenue, with all where the cars pass, and if I cross the street, I'm at the schoolyard of PS 273. And this school, I went from kindergarten through sixth grade, and it was a very, very special school, a special time. It was a safe place. The educational standards were very, very high. The principal in the school, Dr. Nevins, wow, he was such an authoritarian principal. Actually, he was a veteran of the First World War, which is mind-boggling to us children. We know our dads were in the Second World War, but to have a principal fought in the First World War. Well, I know why we won the war, because with Dr. Nevins on our side, he just looked at you and you did whatever he said. There was no Dr. Nevins was so strict. I'll just tell you that my 9 years later, when my younger brother went to that school, he was in the hallway of the school, and he waved to a friend, just waved. He didn't even speak. And Dr. Nevins caught him and brought him to the principal's office to be severely punished for that, just for waving. So you can imagine how strict the school is and how different from these times. But my favorite part of PS 273 was, I should mention to you, I brought this with me. This is a medal that I was given. It shows that I was the best in history in the school, and it was presented by the American Legion, and it says something like American patriotism. So I am a true-blooded American patriot, and I can prove it right here and now. So never doubt me on that. And but the best part was the schoolyard. Schoolyard was almost all year round. Children, we would go into the schoolyard and play. Let's say during the summer, my mom would send me out the door and say, just go out and play and come back when you're hungry. It could be lunch, it could be dinner. She didn't. She had no worries about me. I had no worries about going out alone. I go to the schoolyard, meet up with my friends, and it was amazing. We didn't have any organized activities. We didn't like they do today. One of our friends would bring a little rubber ball, maybe a Spalding, maybe a Pensy Pinky, a little rubber ball, and there we go. We could have a day long fun. You take that one little ball, you kick it, and it's called kickball. You slap it, and it's slap ball. You punch it, it's punch ball. You take a stick and hit it, it's stick ball. You take a baseball bat and hit it, it's baseball. In the same park, we could play basketball. You take the same ball and you throw it off a wall. We played games with that. You threw it off the ceilings. We had games like that. You threw it off the roof. You had games like that. We played box ball, box baseball. You throw it into boxes. You took a penny. You hit the penny with the ball. It would turn over. I mean, the endless games that we could play with just one little rubber ball, and we were never bored. We always had the greatest times. If we wanted a little bit rougher times, we'd go. There were undeveloped areas nearby called the lots, right near the school, and this is where there was a combination of ravine with trees and bushes and junk that was thrown out. But for children, that was great. We'd go there and have amazing time in one of the lots we called Sherwood Forest, named after Robin Hood, and it was really the best. It was the best. As you can see, the fun we had during those days. Myself, I was a pretty good athlete. I was very good in baseball. I was okay in American football. I wasn't much of a basketball player, but I tried and did my best. But the one thing about me, I was a very, very, very fast runner. I could run like the wind. And when I went to school, there was a debate. Who was the fastest in PS 273? Was it Mitchell or was it my arch rival, Nady Simmons? Anyway, after all the arguments, we settled with a match race. One day in the schoolyard, Nady lined up, I lined up. We were going to race from one end of the schoolyard to the other. The winner would be crowned the fastest. So Nady lined up, I lined up, and then all of a sudden, something out of the blue, a young schoolgirl of mine lined up with us. Basically, she said she wanted to be in the race too. And I guess that was the start of the women's movement. The feminism was introduced. History was made that day. Anyway, on your mark, get set, go. Nady and I were off like a flash. We were in the lead. Daryl got off to her name was Daryl Rubenstein. She got off to a slow start. As we came towards the finish line, Nady and I were about tied. Daryl was she was running faster than we were. She was making up the distance. She was almost caught us. We were about to cross the finish line when I stumbled and fell. So Nady beat me, came first. I was second, and Daryl was a close third. It's a funny thing that years later, 40 years later, maybe I met Daryl by chance in Brooklyn, and I reminded her of that story, and she didn't even remember. But she had made history that day. So you can tell from these stories the fun-filled times of the 1950s, living in the projects. I mean, we were poor and we didn't even know it. We just knew we had fun. This was our life. It was safe. It was special. It was fun. It was just amazing. Actually, we didn't think that was our life. And now looking back, 50, 60 years later, I would call it heaven on earth. It was just something so special, and we had the real goals, and we didn't even realize it. But I love telling this story of my youth and of those especially happy times. Thank you.